How good was it to see the running game take off the way it did on Saturday?
Yeah, it was great for the kids, offensive line, tight ends, running backs. I mean, it takes everybody. I mean, our receivers were blocking as well. And we got a lot of big plays. I think we had 8 explosive runs. And you look at some of those, Hassan got himself going, and really established himself. Broke some tackles at the back end and made some big hits. We got the outside zone game going with the pin and pull and get some linemen out on the edge, pulling our guards and center out there. And they did a nice job of that. But it was just good to establish a run game. I mean, we kind of talked about being more physical since the Wisconsin game on both sides of the ball, every position, and we've emphasized that in practice, and it's starting to come to fruition, being able to control, the line of scrimmage and run the football and stop the run on defense. And so we feel good about that piece going forward. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the pin and pull. Has that been something of a work in progress at all this year?
Well, that was our top outside zone play last year. I mean, that was our top run play. Inside zone and pin and pull were 2 top runs last year. And we hadn't done as much of that, and the first couple teams we played had schemed it up to kind of slow that down. So, it's just a version of outside zone where you block down and pull people instead of just straight zone blocking. So we hadn't got that going to that degree. I mean, our tight ends did a nice job of setting the edge. They have to control the edge so we can do that, and they did a great job of that.
Nick Eubanks was telling us earlier this week about how Gaddis has emphasized you guys just doing what you're good at since the Wisconsin game. How much does that play into the pin-pull game, just the run game generally?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you try to figure out each year. Every team's different. There's no carryover. I mean, you got carryover players, but you have to establish who you are and what you want to do, and then you evaluate, at some point you have to say, here's what we're good at. This shows a strength of this position group. The tight ends are strong at this. The O-line's strong at this. The running backs, whatever it is. And then you try to play to those strengths. You know what I mean? And, after 2 or 3 games in with a preseason and that, you kind of evaluate. And I think we're, feeling and figuring this team out and figuring out all the pieces. And it's starting to come together to play to the strengths of, hey, when Hassan's in there, what's his strength? You know what I mean? When Zach's in there, what's his strength? When Nick's in there and Sean's out, what's our strength at tight end? What's our strength up front? And what are we good at? And then you try to blend that all together. What are our best options in the passing game on how to get the ball down the field, how to throw the ball? What are they good at? And so that's part of your job as a coach is assessing that and then playing to the strengths of your players.
So since that Wisconsin game especially, how has that conversation kind of shifted or cemented between you guys as coaches?
Well, I just think it's becomes clear what you can and can't do and what you are good at and what you're not good at. And it just, as that picture clears itself up, then you stick with that, do it more, build on it, you know what I mean? So we're all into doing that.
Conceptually, how it's moving from maybe like more 12 personnel centric kind of offense to 11 personnel affect the blocking, especially with maybe taking that extra tight end off the field.
Yeah, I mean the spread formations give you different looks, different defensive looks. Some people struggle with 12 personnel on defense, some don't. We have the ability to be in 12 personnel and do a lot of good things. But we also have the ability to be an 11, and do things there. So, yeah, it changes it. I mean, it changes what runs you have, how they're structured. So there's quite a bit of variance in what you do in 11 and 12. Mm-hmm. And, you just have to evaluate what you think will attack that defense the best.
Is that sea change kind of in your overall offensive scheme kind of the biggest adjustment you had to make maybe in the offseason, just in how you prepared the blocking schemes?
Yeah, that's probably for, the difference in what you see defensively when you're in more spread out formations and when you're in more condensed. Yeah, that for sure has been the biggest difference for how you block, absolutely.
How much more comfortable does Jalen Mayfield look than compared to the start of the season?
Quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, he's grown quite a bit. I mean, I think he's starting to play his best football. I mean, he's still a work in progress, but from the first couple games to where he is now, I mean, he's continuing to do this. I mean, he works really hard at it. He's out there 15 minutes before practice. He stays after practice. He comes in every day in the mornings when he's free and watches extra film. So he's really committed to it. And we see the growth, you know, and I think just playing and getting through the nervousness of playing. Now he's focused on how do I do this job right, not, oh man, I'm out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're past all that. Everyone says, yeah, after the first hit, you're past that. No, when you're young and you're a freshman, you're not past that after the first hit. That goes through your mind for weeks and weeks. And now we're into week 7, week 8, you know, the season. I think he's now, every play, he's thinking about how do I win and what's my details to win, not, oh man, this is big. You know what I mean? And I never think he thought that, but I mean, every freshman that plays their first game, ask them how they felt after their first game. They're like, they don't even remember it. It's just, it's big in the big house. And, you know, I think Jalen's really matured and he has good perspective and he's just finding ways to get better. And it's fun to be around him.
With Hassan, Jim said he started making some wow plays in practice the last couple of weeks, I guess. What does that look like to you? And then what do you think the difference was? I know you don't coach him, but.
No, but I mean, I've been around some good backs now. I've been around a few 1,000-yard backs that play in the National Football League. So Hassan has a lot of talent, and talent is great. Once you gain confidence to go with that talent, then you see wow plays. And he's starting to get his confidence in that this is what's happening in front of me, like understanding the blocking schemes, understanding where the cuts are. And then you get in a rhythm. Like running the ball as a running back is like a shooter in basketball. You hit 2 threes, then all of a sudden you're rolling, you know what I mean? You miss your first 3 threes, you're kind of, the first couple runs, you get it rolling, and then you get some confidence and you start playing faster and everything just starts clicking. And he's starting to get into that groove, you know, where when you give him the ball, you can feel he's looking to, you know, he knows what he's doing, he knows how he wants to do it, and he understands what's happening in front of him. And that's just confidence and experience. I mean, think about it. Did he have any carries last year? No. Did he play running back last year? No. He's playing linebacker last year. Like, right. You know, I mean, we're not talking about a third-year running back who's, now I'm coming into my own year 3. He's coming into his own game 6, you know what I mean? And it's pretty exciting because he is very talented, and he's a great kid.
Mike Onwenu started to get a little bit more outside recognition halfway through the year. How have you seen him grow from last year to this year?
Mike practices with more. First of all, he got himself in great shape in the offseason. And so he's in better condition to play faster and harder, longer. He practices better now because of the condition he's in. And the better you practice, the better you play. I mean, all the great ones will tell you that. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, any football player. You practice hard, you'll play well. And Mike's practicing better. And because he's practicing better, it's showing up in the games. He has more confidence, too, in what he's doing. But he's extremely talented. His talent is high end of anybody we have up front. So, you know, the only thing is just, has he done it enough, and has he done it enough at high speed? And the way he's practicing now, and then in the games, he was O-lineman of the game a few weeks back. I mean, put on the film and watch the 4th down call when Shea runs it. Watch what Mike does when he hits that defensive end. Like, it's hard to move a man against his will 5 yards. I mean, that's hard to do. And he just, and he used to not do that. He does now, and credit to him by preparation and practice, and just, he's committed. I mean, he's fun to be around too. I mean, just because he's what do I need to do? You know, he doesn't have any illusion that he knows football or has all the answers, or I don't like doing it that way. He's just coach me and tell me what I need to do, and I'll do it. And he's playing well for us.
How much does the threat of Shea running on the edges enhance especially the inside zone and plays up the middle?
Oh, I think that makes the defense stay honest. You know, I mean, when I say honest, they have to protect all the gaps. So they can't collapse extra people into the box. And so they have to be real cognizant of him as a threat, because he is a threat. And you've seen it the last couple weeks. I mean, even in Iowa, when he ran on third down, he didn't get the first down. There was a block on the perimeter he missed, but when he pulled the ball, he went. And in that game against Illinois, when he pulled the ball, he went on fourth down. He was going to get the first down, and he didn't care about the body. He didn't care about what's happened earlier and anything lingering. I mean, he was going to get a first down. That's the great thing about Shea is he's a competitor too.
Because of that, is it important to establish that early? I mean, to get him maybe.
You just have to do it enough to make the defense respect it all the time. I mean, you don't want to make that a way of life or your quarterback gets too many hits, but, you know, they're doing it. The Baltimore Ravens are doing it. Every time they don't respect Lamar, he's gone. I mean, every time, you know, you don't keep somebody on Shea, then you never know when's coming. So you just make a defense play sound.
You said after the Wisconsin game, the challenge was for both lines to get more physical.
The whole team.
The whole team.
Jim said the whole team needed to be more physical, and then that trickles down to, the first thing is let's O-line, D-line, let's start it right there.
And what do you do to make that happen, to get them? Is it, I mean, I think Josh said there was more good on good that first.
Yeah, we are still doing that since the Wisconsin game. I mean, we practice on Tuesdays. The starters go against each other for the first 30 minutes of practice, and what's heavy run emphasis and high competition. It's not full go, but it's as close to full go as you can get. Yeah, and that's helped us because they need to see Mike and Bredesen and Caesar block them just like we need to see Carlo Kemp and Hutchison and, Payne and those guys go against us, because those are the caliber players you see at our level that Wisconsin has and Penn State has and the teams have. So when those guys compete against each other every day, that's a positive. And so we do that every Tuesday now, and it's helped us and them become better players at the line of scrimmage.
How have you seen that? How have you seen that translate in games? How do you
I just watch the production of and how we're blocking people and how they're stopping the run on defense and how we're run blocking and just the pad level and the energy you got to come off the ball with, and just forces guys to develop that toughness. You know what I mean? If you see man-to-man coverage all the time in practice, then you should be able to play against man-to-man coverage in the game. If you see all zone in practice and then it's man-to-man in the game, it's like, wow, how do we get open? But we see all man-to-man, and so but just competition of good players against good players, and like I said before, it's all about practice. If you practice well, you'll play pretty darn well. You know what I mean? And so by practicing the best we have against the best they have on defense, it raises the level of practice and it raises the level of your work,
Before Wisconsin, how often was that good on good? I mean,
Not as much, because what's the other side of it? Then everybody gets to judge us if we lose guys in practice getting hurt. They know, oh man, you practice. Get them to the game, Yeah, okay, get them to the game, yeah. If you get them to the game without practicing them, then you have what you have, you know what I mean? You got to practice to practice, you know what I mean? So there's risk in everything you do. I mean, there's risk all the time. The big thing is good players being smart without doing anything to, nobody taking shots at the quarterback, nobody taking shots at the running back when he's running it. Just good, clean, physical practice play, and we're doing a good job of that.
Sort of an offbeat question. You've coached at a lot of different places, including Notre Dame. I'd like to hear your opinion on the best fight song in college sports.
Oh Lord. Well, I think we have the best uniforms in college football. I don't think there's any question about that. So that's my answer.
No thoughts on the song?
Every place I've coached some places that the fight songs and are tremendous. I mean, if you think about ours, everybody in the country knows ours. Everybody in the country knows the one where they wear gold helmets. Everyone in the country knows where they scarlet and gray. I've been at some places where, I GA'd at Michigan State. Theirs. West Point is one of the on brave old Army team. That's where I've been blessed. The tradition of some of the places I've coached and the history of their programs and the winning, and so then their uniforms and their fight songs and their bands and all that. I mean, I'm pretty lucky. So, I mean, to say one's better than the other, but obviously, I think we have the most storied, best uniform in the country. And I love our fight song, and I love singing it after the games. I love singing it after the games in the locker room, which Coach always makes us do, which is really cool.
Win or
So-
lose, you do that?
Win.
Only win. Okay,
Yeah.
that's all. All right, thank you.
Okay.
You coached at Notre Dame in 2011 during the original Under the Lights game. What was that game? What was the experience like from the other side, I guess?
It was something to walk into the big house, and I think there were 115,000 people in the stadium, the largest crowd, night game, and a hell of a game. And I get to work side by side now for 2 years with the guy who caught the pass on the last play to win the game. So, and I get to see his picture doing it in the locker room because it's posted in there. And I remember being in that locker room across the hallway there in the tunnel and how we all felt after that. But that was something. That was one of the great college football games of all time. Once again, very blessed to be a part of that because both teams played their heart out, and it came down to the last play, and the home team won. And I know the guy who caught the pass, so.
No hard feelings with Roy?
Oh, no, he's the best. I mean, I saw it the other day on Twitter, like somebody had it on Twitter, and I was rolling through there, and I saw that, and I was just, the same feeling came over me.
What was that?
Oh, just the angst that you have when it happens, but then because I'm a part of Michigan culture now and work with Roy, I was just like, man, what a great play. For the rest of his life, he's a hero.
Last one for Coach Warner.
So Michigan doesn't have any future scheduled games with Notre Dame. Would you want them to continue that series at some point in the future?
That's really out of my area. I mean, I think whatever Ward, Manuel, and Jim want to do in terms of scheduling, I think they do want to schedule games with some high-profile opponents, and I think they pick and choose those based on, just because we want to schedule someone doesn't mean they want to reciprocate. So sometimes what everybody wants doesn't just automatically happen because both sides have to agree on the particulars. And so I don't get into all that, but I know, moving forward, that game is a special game. It'll be a special game when we get to that.
From a pass protection standpoint, how much does moving to 11 personnel place a premium on blocking from a running back?
It doesn't really change your protection that much. I mean, we haven't changed our protections much. It's still the same. I mean, if we try to, minimize how much the running back has to block, but if they disguise what they're doing, then sometimes he gets caught having to block, but that really isn't significant at all.
Mm-hmm.